Hey everyone, welcome back. Lily here. I'm going to do another Tiermaker, this time with Wings of Fire, because I thought it was high time we have another video on these guys. And I also like the Tiermakers because I can kind of give a broad scope of my opinion, because some of my longer book reviews take a while. So I can just give like a broad basis. And also, this will contain spoilers, and all of this is just my opinion, so it's not like I'm personally attacking anyone if I say I dislike something or like something. For instance, if you like a book, I would put maybe in the F tier, which I don't know that I'd put any of them in F tier, but if I did, yeah, it's fine if other people like them. It's just personally, I don't think they're as good. But anyway, honestly though, most Wings of Fire books, basically all of them, are better than some books I've read. So anyway, let's get into this. So I'm going to be judging each book that I go through. And they're all here, as far as I know. The Forge Your Own Dragon World's not on here, but I don't own that because it looks silly. So all of the ones I've owned and have read are on here, so that's perfect. I'm going to rate them in, I'm going to go over everything from the cover art to the plot to the main character, the message of the story, all of that. That's how I'm going to be judging all of them, so it's a little bit less, like, it is my opinion for sure, but some of it's also, in general. I want to try to give credit where credit's due, when even if I don't personally like the story. So anyway, let's get into it. Okay, we'll start off with the Dragonet Prophecy, which I have read 3 times, and I would easily read again. The Dragonet Prophecy is just a really good book. It's an incredible book. It's it starts out this universe so well. It's like I'm taking notes on how to do this because it's just so well done. It doesn't overwhelm you. It's gracefully introduced to the story. And even though I would say Clay later on isn't maybe the most interesting character, look, I know a lot of people like him, but like after this book, it's like basically his only thing is like food and kindness. That's basically all Clay is there for. And he is our only Mudwing POV, which is nice to have, but I would say, like, even though later on he's not strong, in his book he is a good character. And I really like this book. I think this is a good book, so I'm going to put it in A category, because I think, even though it's not my favorite book in Wings of Fire, sorry, I just have allergies this time of year. But even though it's not my favorite book in Wings of Fire exactly, I think it's well done in the way it presents everything. I would say that its only weakness, like its main weakness, is its premise of the plot is weak, as far as Clay's personal arc doesn't really have, like, he doesn't have an arc, I guess. He just ends up being Clay, and it doesn't do anything. It could have been cool, but I guess it just kind of was anticlimactic, I guess is what I should say. Like, oh yeah, that's just how Mudwings are, which is cool. I love learning about Mudwing culture, but it was not presented in a cool way. Or like, in an impactful way. Like, if Kestrel had been there and gone, crud. Like, that would have been maybe more impactful, but it wasn't. But the story itself is really good. It was interesting. I mean, who doesn't love a good gladiator fight? That's awesome. Great way to fill up the plot while still introducing characters and villains and, allies and power and all these tribes we have to learn about and their cultures. It's really good way to do that while still being this life or death stakes entertainment. I would also say the book cover is okay. I think Clay's feetsies kind of look a little awkward in this picture sometimes, and his tail looks a little odd to me, but I do like it overall. It's our only, as of right now, it's our only real, like, colored picture of a Mudwing that's doing something other than sitting there for posing in the front pictures of the book, so that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I would say I like the cover art. It's a solid, if I was just rating the cover art, I'd probably say it's solid, like, B tier cover art. But I'm going to give this book an A because it's just really good. I could gush about this book. I mean, I've, no kidding, read this book 3 times. I could easily read it again and still find things that are intriguing. Like even how I'm sorry, I promise I'll move on. Even how she introduces the characters in the cave, which I think I've talked about before when I reviewed this book in more detail, but like, that was genius setting up the play because you get a strong sense of who the characters are personality-wise right off the start while also learning history of this world. And that's just genius. I love it. Anyway, moving on. The Lost Heir. First of all, beautiful cover. I have basically nothing to fault about this cover. It's beautiful. It's all in like these blues, but it's not like it's very captivating and intriguing and mysterious, which I like because the book is kind of a murder mystery of sorts. So I kind of like how the cover is like this, like it's clear and beautiful and bright, but it's also got almost a little bit of an air of mystery around it. And I like that. Plus Tsunami's just beautiful. Sea wings are beautiful. Dragons. Even if they're not like, super powered, but I like that. I like the cover a lot. So, like, if I was just rating cover, it'd be A. The plot, like, Tsunami's arc is really well done. It's about leadership, essentially, and it's really good. Like, Queen Coral isn't necessarily, like the best queen, I guess. Like, she is a good queen. She runs her tribe well. She does things. She's kind of ditzy and wants to write, basically. But, hey, she is a good mom, and she tries her best, and she runs the tribe the way her culture has run the tribe, and, which was great. Learning about all the sea wing culture stuff was really interesting. Aquatic is amazing. I wouldn't have thought about that detail, and I love that detail. I think Webbs is an idiot for not teaching it to her, but that's beside the point. I like that Tsunami has this part where she, even though, like, Coral is obviously very flawed, we can see that, but when, Tsunami actually learns from her and learns from the council that even though it has its downside, she turns around and asks, the Dragonets for a vote, even if it didn't turn out that the vote helped her at all, it ended up being, like, this good arc for her to learn leadership skills, of not just being bossy, but being, a contributing leader type character, and I like that. So she had a solid arc. However, the plot itself, being a murder mystery, was really, really cool, except for Whirlpool. Like the whole Orca statue and Orca being a character was so well done at the beginning, presented, and you know what I mean? Like, her being an animus, like, it's like you can kind of see it coming, but yet you're like, ooh, that's cool. I didn't think about that. Like, I don't know. I like that. I thought that was well done. The only problem is that, like, the whole Whirlpool plot makes absolutely no sense. He's not there for any purpose. It's like you could have had... like, him and Riptide are the two characters in this book. I have no idea why they're here, and they feel like they ruin the story for me personally. I just don't care for them too much. Like, Riptide does absolutely nothing except teach her Aquatic and have one funny scene at the beginning, which, in my opinion, could have all been Whirlpool and given Whirlpool a bigger scope and made him out to be a bigger villain. He could have even maybe known about the statue. There was a little bit more potential with Whirlpool, but I'm going to give The Lost Heir a solid B, personally. I like it. I like all of the world building it does, and I do like the arc in this one. It's just, there are some characters that I don't know why they exist. That's it. The Hidden Kingdom. I really like Glory, first of all. I think she's probably the dragon that I'm the most like personality-wise. I do relate to that a lot. Just sarcastic and independent. So yeah, I get that. The story to me feels like a roller coaster ride. It's got the jungle, it's got the Nightwing Island, it's got like the Sandwing Kingdom, like in the Icewing Kingdom, it's like it shifts into high gear in such a way that it kind of throws me a little bit, but it's still good. It's not like, immersion breaking or anything. Glory's a great character. The Dragonets do stay together quite a bit in this one compared to Lost Heir, which is also nice. Like, they're there doing things, even if it's just a couple of them together. The whole Nightwing reveal was really cool. I love Deathbringer. He's introduced. That was great. I like the Rainwing culture a lot. I like how they have like a competition instead of fighting it out. Feels definitely much more fitting to their tribe. Even in ancient times, it feels more fitting. Like, even this cleverness about the Rainwings that I think they have, like, even though they're lazy and stuff, they do feel very like clever to me. So it kind of like makes sense. I like that. Glory has an arc, which is good, like to work hard and then to also learn to trust and rely on others. And I do feel like this is a good arc in that, like, she fails her own challenge and then she has to rely on other people to do it. The only problem is I don't like Grander. I think that's her grandma, or like her great grandma's name. I don't like that Grander throws it just because Glory is her granddaughter. I don't care for that part of it, but I'm willing to forget it because I do like the story. The cover art is beautiful. Rainwings are gorgeous. It's also like, I think it's our only colored representation of a Rainwing as well. So that's kind of nice to have. So I'm going to give the Hidden Kingdom, I'm going to give it a B, but it's, I like the Hidden Kingdom better than the Lost Heir in a lot of ways. I do think, like, maybe arc-wise it wasn't as good, but it was more, like, the characters made sense, I guess, at least. Like, even the characters you don't like, they make sense, and they're well characterized. Like, Jambu's great, Mangrove is great, even the queens that are kind of evil are really, really great. I like all of them, so. Okay. The Dark Secret is Starflight's book. First of all, cover is also great on this one. I really, really like the cover. The lighting under the wings is really pretty, because if you're doing like a black dragon, it can be really difficult to make them look, appealing on a book cover. So this lighting was actually really perfect. I really like this cover a lot. And like in the fiery background, that's really nice. But as far as the book goes, that I don't care for as much. As much as I love Starflight as a person, I really liked him all throughout the thing, and I think he's funny and, sweet and nerdy. I like him. I did not care for the book. It felt very, very slow. And I understand that that's because, he's being pulled along essentially into these plans. It's not really his idea. He's just trying his best, but I don't like it too much. And I don't like the alternate Dragonets at all. Like, I like that they're there in the story. I don't feel like they needed to be around that long for us to get the point that they're idiots and they don't need to be here. But I don't know. I do think he has a good arc of learning courage and being brave. I do think, like, I don't mind Fate Speaker as much. I think she was an interesting character. Marosir is a jerk, but he is an interesting character. I still don't know why he is a jerk, but, like, I want a Marosir winglet because I have questions about him, but like, I don't know. Like, the Dark Secret's good. I like the reveal of Battlewinder. That was awesome. And there are a lot, like, I'm mixed on this book because there's a lot of scenes in here that have really stuck with me. Like, that you can almost just feel, like when him and Fate Speaker are down in the cave and they find the Dream Visitor, which is also a cool reveal. I really like that. I guess it just comes down to, I feel like it's so slow and those things are so spaced out. Like, I like Battle Winner's reveal. I like some of the scenes, but the whole book as a whole, I'm not always a fan of this book. I find this one to be the hardest one to read through when I've read the first book 3 times, but I've read all the other books twice. Except for the Winglets. I think I've read those 3 times. And Darkstalker. But this one I've read twice, and I found it the hardest to read through again, so I'm going to give it a C, but I hate giving it a C because it's still good. It's just not as good. I'm actually going to go ahead and just delete row F, because I don't think there's going to be any book there. Okay, the Brightest Night is really good. I know some people don't like the ending, and I actually like the ending. I found it satisfying enough. The ending of Arc 2 is another distant matter altogether, but the ending of Arc 1 was satisfying. It set out to finish what it promised it would finish, and in an unexpected way, and with cool little trinkets, and it was nice. I liked it. And it's like, I also like too that certain characters don't come out completely unscathed. Like, that makes it feel more real. Like, at the end of this book, Starflight is blind, and Clave now has a permanent limp, and it feels appropriate to this kind of universe that's so harsh that no one's going to come out of this totally unscathed. They're lucky to be all alive and together, and I appreciate that. So it's like it's a good ending. I really like it. But Sunny as a person is great. She learns to speak up for herself, learns about confidence, and finds a good mom for once, which is great. I also like the reveal of her being a hybrid. When I started out reading the first 5 books, I wasn't really in the fandom, so that was kind of a surprise. I didn't really think about it too much. In fact, I don't really think I thought about it at all. But then it's funny, I just didn't think about that being a thing. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So much creativity. And then it's like, I got in the fandom, I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely something that's really cool and creative. The other thing is, I really love the cover. It's a more simple cover, but it's also really cool to have a hybrid on the art, which she's not the only one. Darkstalker's also got his own cover, but she's a slightly more blended hybrid, which is cool to see. But what's really neat is if you look at the art, and I know some people are probably like, yeah, duh, we noticed this. But when I read it the second time, I noticed it's got the desert at night, and it's got this black and yellow palette, which I just thought was really cool, symbolic of her being a hybrid, even if you learn that in the book. I thought that was really cool. So I love the cover. It's a symbolic cover on top of the fact it's really pretty. But Sunny's arc's great. I find the story interesting to follow, and I did like the climax, so, it makes sense. That's kind of how I expected Burn and Blister to both die. And, I don't know. I guess I don't know who I thought was going to end up living and dying, because once, I figured the prophecy was kind of a fluke from the beginning, and then once it was revealed that way, I figured, anything could happen now. So it's kind of funny when it did end up that way. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense though, how they would die that way. Basically. So I really did like this book, overall. And I would give it a B. I do like it. I think it's a good story, and everything. Hope that covers everything from Arc 1. Arc 1 is really solid, honestly. I just think they're all really good books, and they're really good. They're interesting. They start out this universe in a strong way. They're really good protagonists. Then we get to my favorite arc, at least so far, unless the ending for Arc 3 is just so good or something that it blows me away. So, Moon Rising. This is probably one of my favorite books in the series. It's Dragon High School, but it's not weird and it's not awkward in any way. And I love that. It's great. Plus the main character is a mind reader, even though Moon Watcher isn't very interesting as we go along as a character, kind of in a similar way to Clay. Moon Watcher at least has a reason for not being as interesting because she's very introverted, and when you're in her mind, it makes sense she'd be more interesting and deep, and you're also reading all the other characters around her. So, like, you know, you're not just in her mind, you're getting to know all of these people as well. So it's like, it's also really fascinating. But, you know, like, when you're not in her mind and she's quiet, it makes sense in a little bit more than, like, say, Clay does, why she's maybe not as, like, interesting. I actually really have no faults with this book. Darkstalker just sprinkles in an extra layer of wonderfulness to it. I love all of the characters. I love how she gets to know them. I love the murder mystery of this story much better than The Lost Air, in my opinion. And that it's genuinely mind-boggling what happens. And I really like it. And then it, you know, I love that the character in the story isn't even really that important of a character. You know, you expect it to be someone like, I don't know, Flame, or, you know, then you're like, it's, you know, like Icicle's evil. And it's like, yeah, you probably saw that coming, but did you see Sora as the one to try to kill everyone? Like, you know, her at least, and, you know, get other people in the way? Like, no, that's really cool. I just really, really like this book. So, the only thing I don't like about this book is the cover, actually. The cover is, I don't know what this is. It's like, it had a cool palette, it's a cool background, but Moon just looks so awkward and weird. I don't like the way Moon is posed. Like, you just see her belly, I guess, and it just feels very weird. I think I would have preferred this if maybe she was, like, standing on a rock or just about to, like, launch. And maybe that would have looked more like Starflight's cover, but I just think it might have been better. Or maybe her looking more shy than this particular scene, which actually does happen in the book. Like, all of these scenes don't really happen in the book from Arc 1. This actually does happen in the book, which is kind of rare. I think there's only a handful of these covers that actually happen. So, like, I think maybe only like 3. So it's cool that it does happen, but at the same time, I don't like her pose. But I'm going to put it at A, even though I would say the cover art is not the best. It's just not my favorite cover. But I do really like the story. It's definitely one of my favorites. I think it's well done. And it kind of acts as a second introductory to the world, so if you wanted to start from Arc 2, you would be a little confused as to who the Dragonets of Destiny are, what the war is, and everything. Like, I don't recommend it, but you could start here and still enjoy the story, even if you're lacking a little bit. It brings you into a fresh perspective, and just the mind reading alone is so well done. Even the prophecy thing is so well done. I love it. It's a good book. Winter Turning. Winter Turning is, in my opinion, a weird book. I like Winter's arc, even though later on I feel like he does not remember his arc. I feel like Winter can be 2 people, which honestly I get. Like, I can understand where he's one person in his head and one person outside, but I do feel like he sort of reconciles both at the end, and then he doesn't. For the arcs to come. Like, when we get into Escaping Peril, he just throws all that out the window and attacks Peril. Like, he learns so much, and then it's like, nope, he's still old Winter, not even new reformed Winter. I like him better in The Dangerous Gift for sure. That seems more like reformed Winter to me. But in his book, I do like his story. I like Foe Slayer. I love the Icewing culture thing being talked about. I feel bad for Winter. You know, as a person, I feel really bad for him. I don't care about the whole Hailstorm thing very much. It was weird. It was a cool way to introduce Chameleon, I guess, but I don't care about Hailstorm enough because he's not in the story enough. So it's just like I don't I don't have an attachment to Hailstorm, and I could care less about Icicle because she's so mean. So it's like, I only vaguely care about Winter, and that was, a slim thread in of itself. So I would say that even though the cover art is really pretty, and it's a strong story, I'm going to give it a C just because I'm not as big on this book. It keeps me in the story. It's not like immersion breaking or anything. It's probably the hardest book. Okay, that's not true. It's the second hardest book for me to get through in this arc. I know, it's a wonder why this arc is my favorite, but the books in this arc that are really good to me. Like Escaping Peril. Escaping Peril is just an amazing story. Honestly, if you could read this book on its own, I would recommend this for some kind of like literature analysis class. Like, I have to do a book review on this alone because the subtleties in the story and her arc are just incredible. It's so masterfully done. It's its own little work of art in this arc. It's so good. Like, first of all, the cover is beautiful. I love having this extra art of Scarlet. Moonwatcher's cover does have Turtle in it as well, but we get art of Turtle later, so it's like it's irrelevant. Having Scarlet in the book is awesome. I really love that. I love Scarlet as a villain. Scarlet is so manipulative, it's good. And I love Peril's relationship with Scarlet. And the prologue's so good. It's like, so subtle. It's like, Tui did such an amazing job with subtle things. Things that you need to read a second time or even a third time to get every tiny little subtle detail. Like the way Ruby talks and remembers things and says things. The way Peril is feeling around Scarlet and the way she behaves around the other students and Turtle and the way she acts. And it's just really, really good. Like Scarlet has no power over Scarlet. Peril has no... Scarlet has no power over Peril physically at all. Scarlet can't even touch her, but yet she actually holds Peril in a manipulative way that Peril seems unable to break, even when she totally has her fire skills. But then when she forgets about Clay, you think, oh great, that's it. She's going to go back to being her servant. But then Peril actually makes the decision under an enchantment, not even remembering Clay at all. It's her own decision. She decides to be good. And that is just incredible. It's just it's an amazing story. And even if you've never read the series, if you read this just for that story, it's just so good. So I give this one an A. It's just so well done. So masterfully crafted. Just A+. I love it. I would probably put okay. If I had a tier above it, I would probably put this one, and then Darkstalker up there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Now we get to Talons of Power, and I know some people are going to be mad at me. This is one of my least favorite books in the series. The cover's gorgeous. Anemone is amazing to have. It's great to have reference for her, because she is such a uniquely colored Sea Wing, which I do like. But I don't like Anemone in the second series very much, because she's just not the same person she was in The Lost Heir. And I liked who she was in The Lost Heir. She's definitely spoiled. She's definitely somewhat of a brat, but yet she is she still has a good personality overall. She's likable, even if she has, bratty princess qualities. I like it. But this book, Turtle's been a mysterious character up until this point, and I do feel bad for him. I like his prologue fine. Which is from Gil's point of view. That's great. Overall, I like his talent, okay? Like, him wanting to write books is a really cool talent. Like, a really cool, hobby, skill, talent kind of thing. Like, it's fun to have characters that have these little things about them, these quirks. I like that. I liked as an animus, but it should have been revealed in this book in not Escaping Peril that he was an animus, because there was plenty of room in Escaping Peril, and it does happen, where you get little snippets of ideas that maybe he's, you know, an animus, like when he enchants a rock and stuff like that, that you're like, or, you know what I mean? It definitely seems that way. But then it's just like, out of nowhere, he suddenly falls in love with Kinkajou. And it's like, it boggles my mind. Because Kinkajou, sure, she's under a spell, but she seems to like him back. And it just throws me off that so many people like this relationship. And I don't mean it means, like, if you like, you know, Turtledew, that's fine. That's totally fine. I don't care. I just don't. I just really don't like it at all. It just does not make sense, and it's stupid, and I just don't care for it. It comes out of absolutely nowhere. Like, Moon reads Kinkajou's mind all the time, and she is not thinking about Turtle at all. Like, at all. She thinks Kibley's Winter's cute. That's who she thinks is cute, not Turtle. Not Kibley, but she thinks Winter is very handsome, but not Turtle. Sorry. Sorry, Turtle. Turtle's just so boring. He just follows around Darkstalker all the time, just hidden. And then he has to deal with Anemone. And then he's just like with Kinkajou, who I don't care for as a person. Sorry. That's just my opinion. So I would say that Talons of Power is a D for me. I like the idea of Turtle as a character. I like the cover. And I like that one scene where they're Turtle and Darkstalker in the Night Kingdom, and Darkstalker's crying about, you know, not having his home in clear sight anymore. I like that scene. It's heartbreaking, but I do like it. I do like the Animus fight scene. That was fun. Were like the only things I liked about this book. Otherwise, I find this book to be a little bit like The Dark Secret. It's a little boring. Darkness of Dragons, I really like this book. I don't care for the ending. The ending was very rushed, and the ending did not make sense to the point that the arc has been trying to make. In this whole series, like the series of 5 books, like this arc within the whole series, it doesn't make sense. It feels like it just takes all that character development, that learning, and throws it out the window. But I love Kibley's character, and I love Vulture. That's an awesome villain. I love Cobra. I think anytime Thorn shows up on screen, I love it. So I like the Nightwing Kingdom. I like the manipulation that Darkstalker uses with Kibley. I like the parallel between their characters, that Darkstalker is like, he came from a very wealthy family. Like, at least not, okay, maybe not like a super wealthy, but Darkstalker came from a well, you know, bred, like, he came from a good family. Like, he had money and stuff. You know, he had all this power. He was beloved, and just, like, nothing was hard for him. That's one reason I think where Darkstalker turned evil, is because he never had to, like he's always just had power, and everyone's loved him. There's never been, except for his father, there's never really been, and that's why I do think it sticks with him. Like, the only one who doesn't really like Darkstalker is his dad. And it throws him, and it makes him angry, because it's like the only one that doesn't like him. Whereas Kibley's had to deal with people his whole life that hate his guts, that want him dead, with people in the Scorpion Den that don't care he exists. And yet he's had to learn to have this charisma about him, or even not care. That's just who he is. He's a caring person, or a dragon, rather. And he has no power. He's not special. He's just Kibley, and yet he's smart, and he's capable, and he's caring, and he's good. And I like that parallel between them, that he's had to work to be who he is, and Darkstalker really didn't. He was gifted it. You know, and it's like he offers Kibley that power, and it's like, maybe Kibley would have wielded it well, but Kibley decides not to wield it. And Darkstalker could have made that choice, and he chose not to, I guess. I think it would have been really cool if Darkstalker had chose to give up his power, and sort of, learned from Kibley's example, you know, of working to be better in who you are. But, you know, it didn't. I do like the cover here. Kibley's scar is in the wrong place, but overall I like his pose and the background's really edgy looking. I like it. So I would give this book a B. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I do like it. Short of the ending. The ending is the only thing that is questionable. Then we get to The Lost Continent. The Lost Continent. The book so many people don't seem to like, and I don't know why. I like this book. I definitely could read it again. It's very entertaining to me. I know Blue doesn't have his wings in this book, but I'm really glad that she did for the cover because it's nice to have official art of characters. So it's not like it's a scene or anything, which is beautiful. The cover art is very pretty. It's like that cool versus warm tones. It's nice. I like it. Blue's gorgeous. It's I know a lot of people draw him with like this sort of greenish belly. That's just the lighting, I think. Just like how Luna's book, the Flames of Hope that's coming out in the spring, the book 15. That book is very, very much got this funky lighting in it. I think it's more like yellowy gold. And that's like not her real coloring, unfortunately. At least you can see the patterns. But yeah, anyway, basically, that book, I'm not judging right now because I haven't read it. No one's read it. But this book is really, really good. It has a lot to do because, you have a lot of knowledge about this one continent. And now we have to shift gears and care about this other continent. We have to care about it in 3 books tops, which is a big undertaking for any, person writing this series. And I think Tui started it out brilliantly. I know a lot of people don't like Blue, but actually, as someone who writes books and stuff, it makes sense because when you write a book, you actually want to write a overachiever type character. It's actually a formula, believe it or not, that characters that are selfless and overachieving and go against the grain are actually the kind of characters we appeal to, like that appeal to us, more than say like a nobody loser that's fine being pushed around. Like that doesn't appeal to people. But in this case, I think it was a good conscious choice to choose this because as much as some people don't like Blue, we actually needed Blue in this book to be the main character because we needed the pacifist, open, empathetic character that Blue is. Because if you'd started with, say, Sundew, which I think I would have been tempted if I was the one writing the series to do, because it's tempting to start with, say, the Leafwing who's grown up in the jungle their whole life and only knows that, to then be introduced to the whole continent and this war and the Hive Wings. But if you did that, you'd be hating the Hive Wings outright, and that would be wrong because the Hive Wings are victims in a similar way that the Silkwings are and all the other dragons. They're not right, but a lot of them have done bad things, but some of them are just innocent victims that don't want this. And that's important to realize, and we only get that through Blue. We don't get that through Luna. We don't get that through Swordtail. We don't get that through Sundew. We can only get that through Blue. And maybe Cricket, but basically just Blue. Because we also have to, it's good to introduce us to, like, the whole Silkwing plight right off the bat. And I think it does an excellent job, Like, it introduces lots of aspects of the hives really, really quickly. Like, we jump around really, really fast. We learn about Wasp Hive, and we learn about Cicada Hive, and some of the other hive stereotypes. It's like we don't have time to see all of them, but we see a lot in the library, and this, the flame silks where they're held in the schools. Like, we get, like they hide out, him and Cricket hide out in a school. Like, how cool is that? Like, we get to see what this, Pentallan Dragon School looks like. I think that's neat. And like greenhouses and everything. I really, really like that. And like Silkwing culture. So I would give this book an A because I do think it's very solid. I think it starts out this arc in a genius sort of way. The Hive Queen. I like the Hive Queen. And I like Cricket a lot. Cricket is a good character. She's definitely that peppier, more rebellious character that I think people tend to like. It's a shorter book for sure. I think maybe its only downfall is it could have been a bit longer. in some ways. Not in like a droning on kind of long, but no pun intended, droning. Hive wings. But I do think it could have been maybe a bit like beefier in some hive wing culture aspects, because we don't get time to explore this later. But because, you know, then we jump off to the poison jungle, which is fine. Like, this is the last book in the hives itself. So it's like we could have maybe spent more time with that, but it's still really good. It's got a good story about, you know, like learning how to be, like learning to recognize where you're wrong and then trying your best to, you know, help and learn, you know, to stand up for what's right. And I do like that. I like Cricket as a person. I really like how Tui writes intelligent characters, because like Starflight is a smart character who has to like piece together things. He's a little bit more intelligent in like a detective type way, because he's never given information. Like, he has to work to figure out things because no one tells him anything. Like, Marcier's like, he's like, what's the prophecy about, Marcier? Like, forget it, kid. I'll never tell you. And he's like, well, let me piece it together detective style. And he does, and it's incredible. But, like, Cricket's used to being kind of spoon-fed information, even though she likes to ask questions. Most of the time, she gets those answers. Whereas, like, Starflight's had to work for that. Cricket's a little bit more like, what's this mean? What's this mean? What's this mean? She doesn't, like, try to piece it together herself, but yet she's a smart, intuitive person, or dragon. And I like that. So it's like, I love how she has different intelligent characters that aren't overpowered, like, know-it-alls that are just stupid. Like, some books or movies that you've probably read or seen that have this intelligent person that absolutely just knows everything and does everything and isn't interesting at all because they absolutely like that's not fun to read about. These are fun to read about. So I'm going to give Cricket a solid B. The cover is beautiful. It's got this warm lighting to it. That's really nice. And I like her pose. It's appealing. Her little glasses are cute. I really like it. The Poison Jungle is a book I don't care for. It's just, it had the potential to be a good story with a good arc, and it just threw all that out the window and just made it into this nothingness that I don't care for. The only good things are the cover, and I do like the Leafwing culture aspects, and the fact that the Leafwings have 2 tribes. That's an interesting thing, but it just goes rounds and rounds and rounds about the same things. Like, it's so boring. Like, you get in there and it's just like, yeah, this is gonna be so cool. It's a poison jungle. It's like every 5 minutes someone gets stuck in a plant, and it's like, okay, we get it, there are dangerous plants. Can we not do this over and over again? It's like Swordtail gets stuck, Sundew gets stuck, I think, like twice. It's ridiculous. I don't like it. And it's like the romantic arc is just like not good. It doesn't make any sense. It comes out of nowhere. It doesn't have a good arc to it. And if you like it, I totally get it. It's fine. I don't, it's like, that's fine. If you like romance in these stories, that's fine. I don't think I have liked any romance arc that Tui has put together at all. And some I don't like more than others. I don't like Turtle Jew probably the most. Like, that's probably my least favorite romance, because it comes out of absolutely nowhere. This one I just don't like either. It just doesn't make sense. This is just not my favorite book. I do not like it too much. I like Hawthorne and I like Sequoia a lot. Hazel has grown on me as a person, but Willow absolutely has 0 personality except being a mush ball of absolute, like, nothingness. Like, I hate this one scene in this book where she's just like, yeah, I got angry once, and I just was like, ugh, I don't like being angry, and just like, oh, that was so bad, so, like, I don't get angry anymore. Like, no, like, you can't control that emotion, Willow. Like, come on. And then I was kind of expecting a payoff where, like, maybe she'd get mad and it blow up, and, like, because Sundew's, like, mean to her the whole time, like, being, like, Sapwing, and it's like, Willow's like, can you please not call me that? And she still does, and it's like, I wanted Willow to snap and yell at her and be mad or something. And for Sundu to realize, like, crud, that's what anger looks like? Man, I should really learn to dial myself back. Like, you can have self-control, but you can't, like, stop being angry. And Willow, like, she does kill Hawthorne, which was cool, but then she just cries, and it feels like it lost everything to me. Because it's like, no, it's like, she should have snapped, because this book is about being angry, and I feel like, Sundu has a destructive anger, where she's, like, it's not good. Like, she's destroying herself with this anger, her friends, which she treats like crud, by the way, and everyone around her, except, like, even Willow, she's treating horribly, and it's like, why? like, the whole book ends with, yeah, you should be angry. You have a right to be angry, and it's like, yes, sometimes we might be justified in our anger, but you're being destructive with your anger to everybody, and it's not an appealing message at all in the story. So it's like, message is not good. Like, it's not even an appropriate message, in my opinion, to the story. It's just not, it's not nice to have that message for people, I don't think. Like, yeah, you can be mad at things, and you might be justified, but you can't be destructive about it. And it's like the only time I think Tui really, really slipped up on, like, the moral, and I don't like it. And overall, I like, the things I like are the cover. I really, really like the leaf wings. I like Hawthorne, and I like Sequoia. I really, really would love a story on them, like a Legends book on the Tree Wars. I love Sequoia's story about the, how, like, what happened with the Other Mind, and, like, those kind of things. Like Ancient Pentala was really nice. I did like that, but I'm going to, put that down at F tier. This is probably my least favorite book. I just don't care for it, unfortunately. The Dangerous Gift. I really like this book. It's the only book where we have a character that doesn't have a love interest. And I appreciate that. Finally, it's like we can have one character who learns about love, in general, not about falling in love, and I appreciate that. Like, it's the only one. The only one. Sunny doesn't count because she spends quite a bit of that time also thinking about Starflight's feelings for her. So this is the only one that doesn't. And I just, the cover, by the way, is like A+. This is probably my favorite cover art. The only one is like the Lost Heir and the Hive Queen are right up there, but this one takes the cake. It's beautiful. Just this, it's subtle, and you can see the characters well. The lighting doesn't, like, obscure them in any weird way. It's beautifully done. And Lynx is on there too. Who doesn't love Lynx? The Poison Jungle should have had Cobra Lily on the cover. That's all I'm saying. Cobra Lily is awesome. I do like her. But The Dangerous Gift is a really, really good book. I love Lynx in it. I like that we get Sky back and Ren's in there. I really like the story. It's a little bit maybe off on its own tangent, but yet it's not, because it does a nice job of, and I reviewed this whole book, so I won't go into this too much. If you want to watch my review, you're welcome to. It has a nice speed paint to go along with it, but it sort of does its own little quest, because now we have to understand how the Pyrians are going to react to the Pentalans. And, Snowfall's probably not the best queen to start with, because she has a lot of trauma, and she's a new queen, and she's trying her best. She's a really good character, even if at first she's not appealing. There's plenty of room to grow, because if there's an annoying character that's your point of view character that you're starting with, you're going to have a good ending. That's all I'm going to say. Anytime you have a movie or a book that has the most, like, obnoxious character, the ending is going to be fantastic, because that character's arc is going to be so good, except for Sundu. Sorry, Sundu. That's just, no. But yes, Snowfall is one that has one, because she learns to be more open, and, she has this cool magic ring that gives us visions, which is also nice because it gives us these, flashbacks into, like Pentala, which they might be flashbacks, they might be happening right now. It's hard to tell in the context of the story, like, when these things are happening. But basically, it's like you get these nice times where you can go see, like, what Tao is thinking and what Atala's feeling, even though she's with the camp. Like, and you get to see Wasp's perspective, which is so cool, and Blue. And I just really like this story. I won't go into much more detail because I have a really detailed review on this, but overall, I just think this is a good, solid B book. Like, I would reserve A for, like, the best of the best stories. Which I see now, really, too, is really good at starting books. Like, look at that. Most of these are first books. It's funny, though, because I would say that usually the fourth book is probably my least favorite, at least in quite a few of these. Sometimes the third, but usually it's the fourth that I don't care for, but this is an exception to that. This is a really good fourth book. It's actually, my only fault with it could be longer. I think it rushes the ending a lot. I think there was a lot of room for some comedy. Since Ren came back and she knows Deathbringer, I think there could have been some comedy value there. And I do think we could have maybe learned from the queens a bit. It's just all talked about in passing. I do think there was probably a bit more time we could have spent at the later half. But the beginning is really, really well done. And the middle is pretty good. So overall, good book. I really like it. Darkstalker. Yes, Darkstalker. Yeah, he goes right to the top. No questions asked. Best book. I think that I am not alone in feeling this way. This book is... my only fault with this book is that Fathom gets too many chapters compared to Darkstalker. Darkstalker needs a few of those Fathom chapters where Fathom's just running around the palace aimlessly through hallways and fretting about Indigo. That's the only thing wrong with this book. Everything about it is so good. I have this perspective of kind of a tragic villain, but yet a villain in his own right, in the sense that Darkstalker's wrong. He's very, very much wrong, but yet you feel bad for him. And you understand where he's coming from. Even if you sit there and go, crud, I don't agree with him. But I feel bad for him. And that's such a good... It's a really interesting perspective. And Clearsight's great. Fathom's great until we just get too many chapters of him like being kind of aimlessly fretting. I don't care for those too much. But Darkstalker himself is great. It's definitely just a book that you just... I read this book before I read Arc 2. Because I was just looking at like timeline things from someone or something like that. And it was like, this book's kind of like a prequel to the second arc. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I read it before that. And I realized now maybe I shouldn't have. Because it really, really hit me hard. And it was really when I read it a second and third time that I realized this is just a tragic story. It's the story of a character who could have been a hero, but instances in his life and choices he made led him to be a villain. And I think that's just sad. But at the same time, really, really good. And you could analyze and dissect, like, who's at fault. And, ultimately, Darkstalker's the one at fault. But, it's like you could even ask, someone like, did Arctic deserve it? Like, no. But, like, some people will probably tell you yes. I don't like Arctic as a person at all, but, But, yeah. And then, the Albatross. Oh, Albatross is wonderful. Because that sets up the conflict for the whole story, basically, of, like, does animus magic make you evil? Or is it the choices you make, using it? And I think that's a wonderful premise to have. I really like that. All in all, great story. Love Darkstalker Legends. Dragon Slayer it's good. Dragon Slayer is a good book. It's a funny book. I think it's very funny. There's a lot of good funny scenes in it. The protagonists are all solid, and by all solid I mean Ren is incredibly great and Ivy and Leaf are passable. I found Leaf's perspective to be more interesting, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the Dragonmancers, maybe it's because Rowan's there. I don't know, but I found Ivy to be not as interesting as her friends. And Stone. I liked Stone, I liked Violet, I like Daffodil, but it's an instance of I like all the people around Ivy more than I like Ivy. Which happens with some characters, like kind of like Sundew, really. I like all the characters around Sundew, and I wish I liked Sundew more, but you know what I mean? Like this is kind of like that way. And I know people like Ivy. I do like Ivy fine. It's just that I like that she likes to draw. I think that's cute. And you know, the cover's okay. It doesn't happen in the book at all, but it gives you a picture for the Dream Visitor. It does humans well. That's General Sandstorm, who's dead. Would be dead at this point. And you get to see the stronghold in the background with the decapitated heads, which is cool because I have the hardback of this. I don't know if there's a paperback yet of this. I have a hardback of the Poison Jungle, the Dragon Slayer, and the Dangerous Gift. I was able to get like a really early paperback of the Hive Queen, so I was happy about that at the time when I was trying to buy cheaper books. But of Dragon Slayer, I got a hardback, so you can see the whole thing in the background. I would like to read this book again for sure. It's just such a long book. I love Sky in it. I don't feel like there was like that much of a set like moral or like a set like plot. It felt kind of aimless as a story to me. It's good. It's funny. There are things that happen, but it doesn't feel like a very cohesive point of the story, and it wraps up so fast it's like whiplash. So I'm giving it a C, but I'm telling you it's a better C probably than these two for me. It's a good book. It's just not my favorite of all the books. It's okay. It's passable. Then we have this one is I have the I got the paperback version of all 4 of these winglets combined into one. So I have to think about it for a minute. This one I believe is Prisoners, which is about Fierce Teeth being a Sandwing prisoner, which is why it's like a Sandwing theme, I guess, to the cover. But Fierce Teeth, this is the only Wings of Fire book that I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only one that's from a first-person perspective. Fierce Teeth is writing a letter back and forth with Saguaro, so I guess it's sort of about Saguaro, but she's not as important. And Fierce Teeth tells her story. And I'm telling you what, it's convincing. I really like Fierce Teeth when you read about her from her perspective. And she doesn't break character at all. Fierce Teeth stays this nasty, vindictive character, but yet I'm telling you what, I don't like romance in a story, but I did appreciate her and Strongwing's relationship. I thought I would put it up there with like Fathom and Indigo being a good relationship, and Glory and Deathbringer. I thought it was a well done relationship. It's not abusive in that, like, you know, they're together and they work together, and they sure, both of them might do bad things and they might be evil. More Fierce Teeth than Strongwings. But, like, you know, she stands by him, and I think that's cute. So I'm going to give this one, oh boy. I'm tempted to give this one an A, because it's one of those things where it's like, this is another villain point of view, but yet it's a well-done villain point of view. I'm just only going to give it a B. No, I'm going to give it an A. I don't have a reason to give it a B. I would definitely say this is probably my favorite winglet. No, that's not true. Deathbringer's winglet's better. Okay, her and Deathbringer, Fierce Teeth and Deathbringer probably end up both up here. Oh well. I really like Fierce Teeth's point of view. It's really interesting. Then we have Assassin, which is what I believe this one is. This is Deathbringer's point of view. And that is just an entirely fascinatingly sad yet wonderful book, because it's like everything I want. I love Deathbringer so much as a character. His mom dies in a horrible way, and yet Deathbringer is just so cool. I love him. I love hearing about the, like, Nightwing Kingdom again. Like, we hear about it a little bit from Fierce Teeth, but, like, we get to see a little bit more of, like, this, like, Fierce Teeth really doesn't like the Nightwings, and she spends more time, like, in the rainforest and stuff like that, and, like, fretting about the prophecy. Like, not fretting, but being mad about it. Whereas Deathbringer spends a bit more time, like, in the political ring of the Nightwings, and I like that better. I think it's really interesting. That they're not even afraid to kill their own kind. Like, my goodness, Nightwings. Guys, chill out. But I really, really like this book. And Deathbringer, and I like Commander Tempest. I know she probably only talks, like, twice, but I love her. And Gil's in there, which is cool. So I give this one an A. I like it. I think it's a good winglet. It's worth a shot if you've never read it. I really like it. And, like, the paperback that has all 4 of these winglets in it is only, like, $7, I think, that I got it for. It's worth it. It's really good. And it's really short, too. So if you, like, want an evening read, it's great. It's just, like, one evening you can read the whole thing. Like, each winglet's only about, like, 30 to 40 pages or something. That's not much. They're really short. I think Fierce Teeth might be the shortest. I'm not sure. It's probably... I'm not sure. It might be. Let's move on to Deserter. I know this is Deserter. Because I know that one's Runaway. Deserter's also really good. It's just... it's Six Claws' point of view, and I love Six Claws a lot. I don't know, man. All the winglets are so good. I'm going to be putting them all in A category. And maybe it's because, like, they don't have a lot of time to, like, make me mad about them or something. Or maybe it's the fact that they all have really fascinating or lovable protagonists. I don't know what it is, but I really like Deserter. I'm going to put it in A, too. Deserter is about Six Claws, and it gives this really amazing rundown of, like, the inner Sandwing politics in the palace. With Queen Oasis and, you know, the 3 Sandwing princesses, and Dune is in there, which is awesome. Love Dune. I feel so bad for the irony of Dune, though. Like, him training to be a school teacher, wanting to be a soldier, then getting his wing torn off, and then at the end of the day, he dies as, like, a school teacher. That's so horrible, but yet it's really funny in a way. So I love Deserter. It's really good. Burn is like... a really interesting one, because we've gotten to see, like, Blister up close in a few books, and Blaze as well, but, like, we get to see Burn a bit more in here, which I thought was nice, because, you know, like, Burn doesn't always get that much attention. Then Runaway I would put in C. I did not care for this one too much. Like, it has Arctic, Foe Slayer, and Snowflake as the point of views, which is already kind of a recipe for disaster. Not disaster, that's the wrong word. It's already going to be very hard to find a character to latch onto to root for. It probably would have been better if this had just been Arctic's point of view, rather than all 3 of them, or even just Foe Slayer. Or even if it was just Foe Slayer and Arctic, that might have even been better. But having these 3 dragons that you're jumping back and forth in between in perspective, it really chops it up in a way. And it's so short. It's only like 30 pages, and you have to establish 3 likable characters, or 3 characters that you would maybe feel bad for in that amount of time, and it's no. Like, it doesn't work. Like, in Fierce Teeth's perspective, like, yes, Saguaro is there, but it's more like a response. So it's not like we don't know who Saguaro is, but Fierce Teeth sets herself up amazingly well as a... You get who Fierce Teeth is, and you kind of feel bad for her. It's interesting. You know, Deathbringer, right on center stage. Six Claws, right on center stage. But who's the real, you know, rootable character here? Like, Foe Slayer, probably the most. Snowflake is an incredibly evil person who's just destructive just to be destructive and mean. It's like, come on, girl. Like, I get it, you know? Like, you don't like him. He doesn't like you. It's like, I'm sorry this had to happen, but you didn't have to go and, like, be that nasty to him. You know? Even if Snowfox, rather, wants you to. And it's like, I do feel like there could have been maybe a bit more of a creative name than Snowfox, but, you know. That's my opinion. But, and Arctic is just shown, like, I know a lot of people like Foeslayer and Arctic together and like Arctic as a person, but if you read this story, it's like Arctic is a very abusive person right from the start. He only sees Foeslayer as a means of escaping this life that he does not like. Because he wants to run away with her. And it's horrifying. It's sad because as soon as Foeslayer's like, come to my kingdom, they'll accept you. And he's just like, oh, really? And from that point forward, he's just does not really care about Foeslayer as a person. Like, you can see it in him. Like, he's like, fine, it's better than nothing. But from that point on, he doesn't treat her the same way. He doesn't, because she's no longer this fun, sort of like, rebellious, thing that he can go be with and do and run away with to get away from this. Like, no, like, he just, that's all he sees Foeslayer as, and that's sad. I don't like that. And no, they don't really do well together as a couple, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, hey, these are just my opinions. If you like any of these books, if you wanted to put like these, if you have an inverted structure, I think that's awesome. I don't care. And honestly, all of these books are better than most other books I've read. No joke. I would happily read all of them again. But anyway, this is just my opinion. I hope this was interesting at least, and I can just give my thoughts on it. Some people like get mad at other people when they say they don't like something. It's like, I don't care. I'm not for a fight or anything. Like, this is just my opinion. If you like, certain, like, if you like different kinds of books, that's fine. I don't care. But, yeah, anyway, I hope this was fun. I'll see you guys later. Bye.